content is brought to you by Algorand, which is the official sponsor of the Thinking Crypto channel and podcast. Algorand is building the technology to power the future of finance, the convergence of traditional and decentralized models into a unified system that is inclusive, frictionless, and secure. It is founded by Turing Award-winning cryptographer Silvio Micali. Algorand has developed a blockchain infrastructure that offers the interoperability and capacity to handle the volume of transactions needed for DeFi, financial institutions, and governments to smoothly transition into FutureFi. The technology of choice for more than 700 global organizations, Algorand is enabling the simple creation of next-generation financial products, protocols, and exchange of value. For more information, please visit algorand.com. Hi, everyone. Welcome back to the Thinking Crypto channel, your home for cryptocurrency news and interviews. With me today is Fang, who's the CEO of Okcoin crypto exchange. Hong, great to have you on.
Hi, Tony. Thank you for having me.
I know we were joking about it before the recording. It is a bit weird for me to be interviewing you as I work for you.
That's totally fine. I'm working for you now.
Let's start with your background. Where are you from? Where did you grow up?
I grew up in China, in a small mountainous area, and then I went to school in Beijing, and then came over to US for business school. From there, I joined Goldman. That was in 2008. That was an interesting year to join Wall Street. Spent 8 years there. Left in later 16 to do growth equity investment. And as part of that process, I actually ended up investing in Okcoin in end of 2016, early 2017. I have been with the board for a few years, then decided that the space is just too exciting, and the founder and the team has been a very a good partner, and I have a lot of trust in the team, and I want to make that switch. So I switched in 2019 to the operational side. Basically, throw myself into this, put skin in the game, and become part of it. So it's been a great ride ever since.
Now, when you were growing up, what did you want to be when you were growing up, and how did that lead to eventually going to financial investment industry, obviously at Goldman and so forth?
Yeah, it never was planned. When I was a little kid, I think my answer to what do you want to become and when you grow up is either a astronaut or a scientist. There's no place for finance in that playbook. And I actually don't think that it was even before I came to US for business school. I had no plan for myself going in this direction. And if you tell me that I'm being in finance, I would be super surprised. But somehow I ended up where I am. So life has an interesting way of playing out.
For sure. And you were what I would say maybe one of the first early movers of the traditional financial players moving to crypto. And now we're seeing almost like a mass exodus. What's it like? Once again, you were a pioneer, moving forward when things were still maybe a bit shaky about the crypto market in a sense of perception.
Yeah.
Tell us about that.
Yeah, that was, I was definitely early in that compared to more recent converts, but I'm definitely late compared to a lot more OGs in this space, I think. But it did take, it's not easy, right? Because when you have been in the financial system, or even take the traditional education about what macroeconomics and microeconomics and financial system should be like, it's it's not easy to see it in a different way. There are some certain aha moments for everyone here and there to actually see that it can be built in a different way, and it should be in a different way. So for me, it was not a single aha moment, to be honest. I think it was really a evolution as I continue to kind of deepen my understanding of what it is like in this space, and I got a lot of exposure to different sectors within financial industry, and I also see a lot of dilemma, right? When you are in a financial crisis like 2008, and later the whole industry recovered, or quote unquote recovered a little bit from that in 2011. The banking industry boomed, and the financial sector recovered. But then you still see a lot of real economy struggle. Naturally questions arise. And later, when I went back from Wall Street in U.S., I went back to do growth equity, and went to China too. I left China for more than 10 years after business school, and it was also a cultural shock to me. But the similar things that I see is number one, the prevalence of the internet, and number two, the trend of over-financialization. Those two are quite prevalent and are very obvious themes in both U.S. and China. And the latter, the first trend of the internet adoption and the impact the internet is having on individuals' life is pretty obvious and shocking when you kind of put it in the context of what it does to average people's life, but also on what it can do when it comes to data privacy. It comes to monopolizing power of individual internet platforms, even if it was started with a different intention. But then also when it comes to over-financialization, you start to see financial companies taking a center stage, either in the U.S. market or Chinese market or other capital markets. And you start to scratch your head and ask why that's the case, right? And ultimately, I think it comes down to the money layer, where the monetary policy is being controlled. And that didn't dawn on me until after I actually got to know about Bitcoin. As it related to my investment in Okcoin. So that there's a process that you kind of digest and figure out things along the way. And I would say in 2017 and 18 is also a big shock to me when I have to put things back into that question mark zone and see if that's really what it is happening. Is this a scam, like most of the perception about crypto is, or is it something real behind it? And I think that is actually a very critical period for me too, where when you see a lot of the scammers expose themselves and the market went bust, you still see gems in the industry, and you see that there's something real there that will ultimately prosper, and people believing in it, actually building around it. And that's where I feel like it's really helping me to really convert from someone who is curious to someone who really believe in it.
Yeah, absolutely. What's it like to see your former companies that you work at, Goldman Sachs and Morgan Stanley? They're now launching crypto funds, Bitcoin funds, and they're providing financial services to exchanges. Have they ever called you back and say, Hong, you know about crypto, come and work for us again?
No, to your second question, no, I'm not that big, so they won't be calling me. They will do what they need to do, right? To your first question, it's quite mixed feeling, to be honest. On the one hand, I think it's inevitable that organizations like Goldman and Morgan Stanley and JP Morgan will get into crypto and build products and offer that in an institutional fashion to their customer base, because there is a lot of captured audience there, and it's natural that people will ask for asset allocation in crypto. So it's just natural. It's part of their business. They will get to this one way or the other. You got to be on the right side of the history. The other side of me is, so one side is like, okay, that's good, and it's inevitable, and it's actually a logical way for things to evolve. And it's also good for a mass adoption over time. But the other side of me is saying, you know what? Ultimately, crypto is a grassroots community movement. Mm-hmm. And institutional adoption matters. Institutional adoption helps, but you don't want to have over institutionalization, because as a result of that, crypto will become just asset classes, and we will still end up being will end up being a decoration to the existing financial system instead of building something new alongside of that. So for me, I think for the rest of industry builders and participants, the important thing is to embrace it, but at the same time, we continue to build, because ultimately it's really technology and innovation and entrepreneur in this space that matters. Developers in this space matters, right? Ultimately, I think we need to build outside the existing system instead of trying to make the current system new and better, because generally the second approach doesn't work as well. So that's my take.
Yeah, it's a great point. We don't want to go back to some of the legacy problems and status quo, but rather let Bitcoin, let crypto change things and bring in more financial inclusion and things along those lines. So
yeah, great. Those are interim products, right, that they can offer. But I personally really don't like Bitcoin ETF, because I think when people can actually get direct exposure to Bitcoin and own them in wallets, why do you want to go and get ETFs? But I guess there are institutions who have their mandates, and they cannot get a hold on the real ones. They have to get exposure indirectly. So there are products that kind of bridge the gap and things like that. But I don't think it's a trend long term. I think we got to build something alongside of it.
Tell us what's in your crypto portfolio. I'm assuming Bitcoin. Is there anything else?
Yeah, I'm definitely Bitcoin heavy. I do have Ethereum. I have a couple of other quote unquote altcoins that I'm interested in, and I'm yet to buy an NFT. I'm thinking about it, and I'm probably going to do one to again for that community feel and a sense of identity. But I'm definitely on the conservative side within crypto.
For sure. So for those who don't know about Okcoin, can you tell us about the company, the exchange, and its mission?
Sure. I think what made us different, we have been around for a while. We were founded in 2013. What made us different is that we were actually reborn in 2018 when we had to move all of our team and headquarter and business out of China to US. I don't think there are many platforms out there that actually were like us, which are almost like a corporate immigrant. And we were quite successful in doing that, and we're embracing the change, embracing the challenge. And when we look at what we want to do, that never changed ever since when we were founded and up until now. We want to build the best and easiest gateway for everyone to really get into crypto, to empower individuals, to help them maintain their sovereignty, maintain their dignity and freedom. And I truly believe that Bitcoin and crypto is really the the way to make it happen. And in line with that, I think the type of products that we offer to our customers can evolve with the industry. Yeah, our traditional strength is exchange, and I think that is still an important infrastructure function that we can offer to our customers, because in crypto you need a marketplace where price discovery is efficient. And for that purpose, capital marketplace with liquidity is important, and that's where we come in. But when we think about product, we actually have a mobile app that we launched last year, and we continue to evolve on top of it. There will be a couple of new releases coming up in 2022, which should be very exciting. But we are really focused on building the best-in-class experience that also bring in the best-in-class innovation in crypto to a broader population. That is our only mission and goal. For example, last year we had DeFi Earn launched, and that has been one of the most popular product out there. And I think it's probably very unique and one of its kind out there in the market, where customers can actually access DeFi Earn protocols and opportunities through us, fee-free, and without going through a deep learning curve. So they can start to have skin in the game and start to learn about the system. We have Lightning integrated. We need to continue to do more, and we do have stuff on the roadmap to do more to bring that Lightning capability to a wider population in an easier way. We have Polygon integration. We have Stack. We partner a lot with the community to encourage and build innovation on top of Bitcoin. So all those stuff are quite exciting, and we continue to do that. Ultimately, the mission is we want to build something new alongside the existing system, so that individuals can continue to be empowered, and that continue to be the case for us.
Yeah, absolutely. And obviously, I know of these respective features and launches and so forth, and I've been excited about those. And I love the Earn feature, zero fee. I've been staking and utilizing that, so that's pretty cool. What's it like being the only female crypto platform or exchange CEO at the moment? I don't know if that's a weird question to ask, but I would certainly want to get your perspective on it.
Yeah, that's the question I would wish that nobody would ask me anymore in the future. And I definitely don't feel it. I mean, Tony, we work together, right? I don't really feel that gender is a big thing in the organization. We have so diverse team around us, people with obviously different gender, but different background, different experience when they grew up, culture, nationality, language. So there's so many diversity on the team, so that I don't really feel that gender by itself is the defining factor. And to be honest, a lot of the great things that have been done by our team are done by our team, not by me. So I don't really feel that is really playing into the picture. But on the other hand, I also am reminded by reality that, number one, our customer base is more male tilted, and number two, male has a stronger voice in the industry. And number three, when you go to industry conferences, there are more male participants than female participants. So I think I'm happy to do more to encourage more female participation in the space, and more visibility for that purpose. Not to pursue. Yes, we do have so we recently launched a initiative partnering with Randi Zuckerberg, who is our first brand advisor, to bring more women into crypto with our 1 million commitment. and bring our customer base mix of female contribution to 50%. But I'll be very upfront with you that 50% threshold, it is a goal, but at the same time, it's not a goal, right? We are not trying to say, okay, we're going to get 50% and no more than that. And if we get over that, we'll have to cut down. Like that's not the spirit. The spirit is really to use it to encourage more female participation and help people to see, regardless of gender, that this is something new. You shouldn't write it off just because other people are saying that this is scam or this is risky. But instead, it's a once in a lifetime opportunity for you to change your life and your family's life. Everyone has different read, but give it a chance. Take a look and learn. And you can put something in skin in the game. Don't start with 1,000, 100. Start with $5 or something like that, and see how it looks like and how it feel, and go from there. And I think that is what we want to do, right? And also give female participants a little bit more visibility, because there tend to be some gender difference in terms of how one want to present themselves. And there has already been a lot of thought leadership in this space that comes from different backgrounds, and we want to continue to encourage that.
Yeah, absolutely. How did the Randi Zuckerberg partnership come about, and maybe why did Okcoin decide to go with Randi as a brand advisor?
Yeah. So Randi, we got to know Randi actually through Mandy, who is our head of content and brand marketing. They are good friends, and they used to work together. They had good partnership and chemistry. And then when we think about what we want to do in this space, Mandy is a top choice for us, because she has been a very successful and vocal entrepreneur, female entrepreneur, and she's very thoughtful. She has her own a very strong interest and track record of building that investment visibility and education for female, and is also a passionate art collector, and I think a lot of that comes together, and I really like her passion, and I like her professionalism too. So we have a lot of chemistry on a lot of these topics, and I'm super excited to work with her. I was literally chatting with her just now through text message, talking about where we're going to plan for the new year, and she has a lot of great ideas, so we're going to explore a little bit and see what we can do. Most of all, both of us feel, and also the rest of the team, Mandy and Larissa and the rest of the team, and I'm sure you and others too, feel very excited about exploring this. And again, this is not like we are promoting this, not because we want to exclude or make it specifically gender focused. We want to encourage diversity and encourage people to, regardless of gender, to actually take a step back and challenge the status quo and say, hey, why not try something different, right? And that's the spirit. So looking forward to that. And I think Randi is a great advisor for us from that perspective.
For sure. This is a two-part question. What's the best part of running a crypto platform or exchange, and what's the hardest part as well?
The best part is always working with a team who are super passionate about things and who knows things better than me. I continue to be impressed by our team who can come to me and with great ideas and great execution. I'm always proud and excited and feel blessed when that happens, and that happens a lot. So and I feel very lucky about that, and I think it's that's important, because ultimately at this point, when I made the decision to to join Okcoin, it was not because of anything else. It's more because I really believe in it. And I think this is once in a lifetime opportunity for us to really make an impact and do something that may change how the whole society interacts. And that does not come along that easily. And to be able to work with a group of passionate, talented people who are believing in the same thing, we're working on things tirelessly and 24/7 without knowing what will ultimately happen, but want to make it happen. I think that is a very unique feeling. So that is the best thing. I think the hardest thing is also recruiting, finding the right people, because we have been growing like crazy. 2020 and 2021. Our business grew 20, 30 times, and our team grew like three times. Actually, no. Before COVID, we have 40 people. Now we have almost 200, so five times now, and that is quite a challenge to deal with. Bring a whole lot of infrastructure question from a people management and infrastructure perspective, because we want our people to feel empowered and connected. And crypto is crazy, right? 24/7, and then everyone is kind of hyper passionate. But at the same time, how do you create order out of chaos? But at the same time, keep that chaos to maintain that energy. And then we have people all over the world, and we want to be able to maintain bonding between people. And then we have so many things that we want to grow, and for that we need more and talented people. And how do we keep up the hiring speed? All those type of things are the most stressful thing for me, among many other things. But building the right team, building the right people infrastructure, and making sure that our team feel empowered and happy and rewarded. That's the biggest thing that keep me up at night.
Got it. Let's switch gears and talk about the crypto market as a whole. Bitcoin right now in a bit of a pullback, but we're seeing a bit of a bounce, maybe from Jerome Powell's comments today. Macro level, I'm bullish. What are your thoughts on the current market conditions? And do you feel the bull market is over? If not, do you have a Bitcoin price prediction for 2022?
Yeah, I mean, people talk about bull market, bear market. I really don't think that if we're talking about a bear market like 2018, I don't think we're even close. To be honest, the level of craziness and zeal is just not there yet. Maybe in certain pockets of the market, but it's definitely not there yet. Number one. Number two, when we think about bull and bear market, I think the biggest signal you should look at is people talents, right? Whether new talents are coming into the space or they're leaving. Right now, from where I'm sitting, it's a total brutal, bloody talent wall happening out there in crypto. A lot of people are coming in, and a lot of companies, startups, organizations, crypto projects are fighting for crypto talents or talents who are interested in crypto. And for that purpose, I have a hard time thinking that the bull market is over. Maybe from a market perspective, there will be a lot of volatilities, and it's not going straight up. And nothing is going to go straight up without pullback, to be honest. Like, right. Tony, you've been on this for such a long time. Market is market. There will be fluctuation. That's how traders make money. That's how the market finds the equilibrium. If there is one, there's no equilibrium status that's kind of constant. If there is one, it's death. But I don't see that happening. I think we're still in a stage where the market is still trying to get there, and the mass market hasn't got over their head yet. Where I see the market is going, I think volatility is going to continue. That is expected. Two main factors playing into that. One is institutional money can keep coming in. There has been significant money inflow from institution side into Bitcoin and into even altcoin and others, despite the price volatility, right? And that in itself is huge volume. And when you have institutional money coming into the space, people talk about crypto market seeing more maturity with institutional money coming in, but at the same time, I'm also of a view that when you have more institutional players, you see more volatility because it's all transactional, right? Institutions coming in and out, they rebalancing their portfolio, and you probably see a more correlation with traditional assets when they have to rebalance their whole portfolio. When there is big macro movement, there's not much room left for the asset managers to maneuver. There are rules around on the ground that they have to play by. So that's number one. And when you have also more leverage, ETF, and all that stuff, you got to see more volatility in the market. And I think the other side of the things is there continue to be new projects coming up. And when you have new projects, new innovations, people's emotion tend to take over, and you'd see overpricing in the short period, but then underpricing over the long run. But there will be volatility. So I think that's expected for this year for both Bitcoin and all the other assets. For Bitcoin in itself, I think longer term, I'm still a big believer in the value that it brings. Fed can change their monetary policy short term, but longer term, is there really a way out other than printing money? My personal read is that no. And if that's the case, then what else do you have as a safe haven to start with, and not to mention all the value that it can bring in on top of the store of value. For the other alternative assets, alternative altcoins in this space, Ethereum is doing well. There's a lot of controversy around that, but the developer community is thriving there. Yep. I think that again is one of the biggest indicator where the talent goes, where surprises you can see in the space. So I'm pretty bullish on overall industry. There are a little bubblish feel here and there, but everyone got to be careful where they put their money in and save liquidity. In which sense today the liquidity is still defined in fiat money, unfortunately, but you don't want to be forced to sell when you don't want to sell.
Yeah, for sure. In the I should say 2021 was a pretty significant year for Bitcoin. We saw corporates put Bitcoin on their balance sheet, obviously MicroStrategy, Tesla, some other companies as well. El Salvador made Bitcoin a legal tender.
Yeah.
We also had a mining boom in the United States, which I found very interesting. Even though China banned Bitcoin mining, the miners spread around the world. The hash rate came back up. What are your thoughts on all these things and the adoption of Bitcoin from a global standpoint?
I think we'll continue to move on. I think Bitcoin is a social movement. It is economic and social movement, and it's an asset class, but I think it will become more political, unfortunately, going forward as we see El Salvador adopting it. I think we'll see more countries adopting it. Primarily it would be from countries like El Salvador in Latin America and Africa and Central Middle East, where their own local monetary policy is not really strong. And if they don't want to really rely on the US dollar, Bitcoin is really the only alternative for them. And I think we'll see more become more political in US as well as we get into the next election cycle. Different senators and politicians and policymakers will come out and make their voice heard, and their community, local community, will make their voice heard. And I think we see a surge of group of single matter voters coming up. So it'll be interesting to see if that goes deeper into the U.S. political arena here. But yeah, I think it will continue to go in that direction. It's a gaming theory that it's embedded in the Bitcoin design that I think is interesting and has been carrying it along for more than a decade and will continue to play out. It's good to see the mining getting more distributed. It's definitely good. Obviously, with my background, I grew up in China. I wish that that ban didn't happen, but it happened, and it's good long term.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I spoke to some Bitcoin miners, and they mentioned like some of the miners from China came knocking at their door to try to get things set up here, especially in Texas, because the governor there is kind of given the green light to crypto and Bitcoin. Hopefully, other states follow suit. And then, at large, we're seeing more members of Congress are waking up to crypto. There are multiple bills. I think last year was the highest, like 35 crypto bills being introduced, but yet there's still some divide with the SEC putting up roadblocks, especially for altcoins. They haven't approved a Bitcoin spot ETF yet. And then you had the infrastructure bill debacle. What are your thoughts on the whole crypto regulations scenario here? Seems like we're moving in the right direction, but there's still a lot of hiccups.
Yeah, I'm still hopeful of a U.S. regulatory landscape for crypto because U.S. has the cultural heritage of fighting for individual rights and fighting for community local rights. And there's this separation of state versus federal governments. And a lot of decisions are being made locally. So I'm very hopeful that we will end up in the right place. Obviously, right now it's a little bit of a murky area. And to be honest, we as a platform registered with FinCEN, we have ability to operate across US compliantly, and we're already playing within the regulatory framework that's actually working right now, working just fine. And I think it will be interesting to see where things go. I don't think we need another additional federal level regulator. We already regulated. I think what's important is actually to keep the dialogue open and help policymakers to see what's new in crypto assets and help us build a more open environment to support that. Because ultimately, it's really about building protocols, building communities who are self-sufficient, right? And you want to make sure that those protocols and communities have the proper protection mechanism built into it. So I think ultimately it's probably not the traditional regulation that we have seen over the last 100 years, but more a kind of smart contract audit process that community has to install by themselves. But it will be an evolution. So it will be interesting to see how it works. And I'm sure that crypto community will continue to fight for what they think is right.
Yeah, absolutely. I think due to the decentralized nature of the internet and some aspects of social media, people are able to now come together as communities behind their coins, but also to voice their concerns or their need for certain clarity. And I think with the infrastructure bill situation, I don't think Washington, D.C. expected the pushback that they got from the crypto community, which was good in a way.
Yeah. There's no way to run away from it. It is going to be political, right? It's part of the social fabric. So I think it's good that crypto community as a whole is actually seeing that and rallying around that and made a voice heard because it's a part of a constructive conversation. And the other part is we're seeing a lot of community, local policy leaders being more pro crypto and pro technology, right? We're seeing Miami stepping up their game, and followed by our lady Cynthia and others. New York is coming in as well, and we'll see how that plays out. So I think that those local dynamics will be very interesting. And I have a lot of hope and confidence in the ability for US to really maintain that grassroots spirit and keeping it close to the people.
For sure. I want to get your thoughts on CBDC, central bank digital currencies. Obviously, they're going to build on certain blockchains, some of which exist in the crypto industry. They might create their own blockchain, but they're going to use blockchain to put their fiat currencies in a tokenized format. Do you see this as something that will be complementary to cryptocurrencies?
I'm a big cynic of blockchain and a big cynic of CBDC, Tony. I don't. When people talk about blockchain, I tend to roll my eyes internally and say, like, what's that? Is that a ledger book? I guess it is. And CBDC, it's a digital money, right? We already have digital money. Our money nowadays are digital, at least in developed countries, not so much in some parts of developing countries. But obviously there is implication for having CBDC implemented. If it is implemented in a given jurisdiction, it has implications on monetary policy, on the financial sector, how central banks and commercial banks interact with the system. And then it has implications on data privacy tracking and all that stuff. I'm not a big fan of it, to state the least. But if it does get implemented, I think it's long term, it's good for us as an industry too. It may get us into the wrong direction before things settle down, but at the same time, it forced the build of the infrastructure and forced people to install wallets to be compatible with quote unquote blockchain currency or CBDC, that may pave way for faster adoption of real internet money. And when people feel like when their privacy is being taken away, they probably also feel the urge to use alternatives. So you never know. But yeah, I'm not a big fan of CBDC. Myself.
Well, to your point, at least we have Bitcoin where we can opt out if we need to, and we have that answer or solution. Given that now, they're trying to build their version of a Bitcoin, if you want to call it that.
Yeah, it's not even close.
Yeah,
right. It can't. There's no way when you have a central builder for that, it's stopped being what it's meant to be.
For sure. Okay, I want to wrap it up here with some questions, such as if you could create your own metaverse, what would it be about? What would the theme be about?
Oh my goodness, my own metaverse. I've been in so I love reading science fiction. I've always been a fan of science fiction books and movies, and I really don't have any time for that nowadays between work and family. So if it is metaverse, maybe some sort of sci-fi, community where I can at least enjoy some of that, pretending to be at work.
For sure. Some quick rapid fire questions. What's your favorite food?
Spicy, anything spicy, or with soup. So,
favorite musician or band?
very old style, old school Beatles, U2 type of band.
Awesome. Favorite movie?
Favorite movie? I like Odyssey, 2020. Was it 2022?
Oh yeah. 2001 Space Odyssey.
Yes, 2001. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Feels old.
That's a good movie. Favorite book?
I love Foundation. That I've read a lot of different books, but Asimov's Foundation series has always been my top favorite across genres. Yeah.
Now, I think you answered this last one already, but I guess favorite hobby when you're not working at Okcoin.
Right now, hiking with family. I sometimes play badminton too, but that's luxury from time to time. Yeah, I don't get to listen to music that often now, which is something that I'm missing.
For sure. I know it's a lot of work running a crypto platform and exchange, and obviously I'm working for you. So,
Working with me, not for me.
well, Hong, thank you so much for taking the time to do this. Appreciate it. And obviously, as things progress with Okcoin and new features come out, would love to have you back on to talk about these new things.
Thank you, Tony. Thank you.